Hi, Alfred. Yeah, we're almost starting so that we don't punish those people who came early. We'll be starting in the next few minutes. Alfred can continue admitting them. I think a good quorum would be about 40 or 50 people. So far, we are 30. We're going to take another 5 minutes to get. So while at this, you can go to the chat area and tell us which country you are joining us from. We are streaming this class from Nairobi. It is 11 a.m. local time. I know we have our friends from Nigeria, Ghana, we have India, we have the United States, we have South Africa, most participants from Kenya. So you can go into the chat box and ask your questions. Tell us where you are joining us from. We have posted a poll that determines the level of your skill. We want to know whether you are beginner, intermediate, an expert, or you're here to learn a new thing. Feel free to go to the chat environment. I'll start. I'm chatting from Kenya. So you can go to the chat area and tell us where you are joining us from. Who's joining us from Nigeria? Those joining us from Ghana, from Niger. Kodwo Amisa says is joining us from Ghana. Welcome. I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. Atena from Italia. I believe that is Italy. Go to the chat environment and tell us where you're chatting from. Anastasia, you're chatting us from Kenya. Welcome to this. We are waiting for a quorum of about 50 people to join so that we can kick off. With me in this class is Alfred. Alfred Mutugi is our lead data analyst and data scientist based in Nairobi. Saitoti Mashati, welcome. We've met before. He's chatting from Nairobi. Keep the chats coming so that we can kick off. This is Microsoft Power BI fundamentals. We're going to deal with DAX and visuals for the retail analyst. As much as we are talking about being a retail analyst. This class will be broad-based, and we're going to make sure that whatever we teach here will be applicable across sectors. You could be in manufacturing, hospitality, retail, in non-profits, you are an analyst, you're an accountant. This class is for you. We are now at 41. I said we are waiting for the quorum to hit 50 so that we can kick off. We are at 11:03 local time in Nairobi. So feel free, you can ask your questions on the chat box. Tell us where you're joining us from. Stanley Watigari is joining us from Nairobi, from Kenya. You can state the city you are in and the country. We are also live on YouTube, so we are sure after this class, we are going to share with you the link. We are going also to share with you a digital certificate that is downloadable at the end of the class. The certificates will only be awarded to those who stay in this class for a minimum of 1 hour. So the system is automated such that if you don't stay for 1 hour, at least without breaking, the system will not award you any certificate. Tell us where you're joining us from, the city and the country. For those joining us, we are streaming live from Nairobi. For those joining us, please go to the message or the chat box and tell us where you're joining us from. I've included notes this class, Power BI Fundamentals Getting Started, that you can go read after this class. Jaramogi, you're joining us from Kisumu, Kenya. Mont, you're joining us from Pretoria, South Africa. Simon is joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. So we are 3 to go so that we can kick off. I said we want a minimum of 50. While at that, Alfred, you can introduce yourself. Then Simon, you've raised your hand. Maybe you have something to tell us. Simon, what are you saying? You can leave a message on the chat if you want to ask a question. Simon from Kakuma, Turkana, Kenya, you can leave us, drop a message there when you raise your hand.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alfred Mutugi, a data scientist at OCL Learning. Welcome to this session.
Tell us where you're joining us from. We are 48 so far. So we are at 50. I think Chris just joined from Nairobi. We're at 50. So page 51. I know the number will go up. Go to the chat area and tell us where you're joining us from. Leave a message. We've uploaded also the class notes so that you can follow right after this class. Alfred will continue admitting you. Those of us waiting on the lobby will be admitted as we move on. Tell us the city and country you are joining us from. Angela is joining us from Nairobi, from Royal Media Services. Alex is joining us from Russia. Ostrava from Czech Republic. Stanley from Nairobi, Kenya. Continue leaving your message there. Tell us. Daniel is joining us from Budapest, Hungary. So let's get started. So I'll start. My name is David Kandier. I'm a data scientist, and I'm here to present. Alfred will also be co-presenting later. I'll do the introductory part of this class. As mentioned from the social media posts, we said we are going to, you'll have a certificate downloaded automatically at the end of this class. In some cases, you might get some delays, might be up to 1 hour for your certificate to land on your inbox. So use the email that you registered with will be the one that will be used to send the digital certificate. Continue leaving us on the message box where you're chatting from, where you're joining us from. So when you come to this class, I assume that you already have either interacted with Power BI or you are starting or you're already an expert. What I'm presenting here on my screen is the Power BI desktop. So there are three parts of Power BI. There's the Power BI desktop, which is an app that is downloadable for free. There is the Power BI service, which is paid. There is a Power BI environment where we publish our reports. And then there is the mobile app for the Power BI where we use to consume our reports. Now, those of you who might be new, we have what you call Power BI. There is what you call Microsoft Fabric. So I'm going to just take you through what Microsoft Fabric looks like. Then we're going to go back to Power BI. Just a minute. So Microsoft Fabric is the new, or what I call, is the all-in-one location for your data analytics. Microsoft Power BI is part of Microsoft Fabric. And inside Microsoft Fabric, we have Power BI, Data Factory, Data Activator, we have Centerpiece, we have Data Lakes, and all the rest. If you are in Microsoft Power BI, you don't need to migrate to Microsoft Fabric. You just need to subscribe to Microsoft Fabric, and you'll have all your data in the same place. So in this session today, we are going to talk about Power BI, where you can find insights, track progress, and make decisions faster using rich visualizations. And to deliver Power BI, we are going to use Power BI Desktop. In Power BI Desktop, you can import your data, either start from a blank report, use one Lake Data Hub that is on Microsoft Fabric, import Excel, an Excel workbook, use SQL, access data from SQL Server, and many other data sources. So we're going to get started by importing our data. So first, you can import your data either from your computer or from an Excel workbook. You can start from an Excel workbook on your computer. So I'm going to use that and use what you call AdventureWorks sales database. Here, I've stored all my sheets and all the relationships I'm going to manage inside Power BI. Those of you who are familiar with Microsoft Power Pivot will know that they are what you call relationships in sheets. So I have all these sheets here. I want to import them and create relationships inside this. So the first act that I want to teach you is how you can import your data into Power BI. So this data is an Excel workbook that is stored in Excel in an Excel workbook in my computer. So I'm going to pull all of them to Excel, where it will ask me whether I just want to load this data directly, the sales data directly to Power BI, or I need to transform. Transforming the data requires you to either perform some calculations, add new columns, add some customizations to your column, create a calendar table, and the rest. So I'm going to pull that and click transform data. Now, the parts of Power BI, as you'll see on the class notes that I've shared on the chat area, is such that the Power BI desktop has the data visualization side, the data view, relationship view, and the DAX tool here that we use to generate DAX. Inside Power BI, we have the Home tab where we'll get just a minute to go back here. So inside Power BI, you have the Home tab where you can get data. You have the Excel work. You can get data from Excel, from one Data Hub, from the server. You can insert visuals using the insert menu. You can model your data, view visuals, mobile layout, and filters. And on the right side, you'll see where there is filters. There's filters here, and there is visualization, and there's data that we import into our data set. So on to the data that I just imported, you'll see Power Query. You'll see Power Query Editor. So in Excel, we have Power Query and Power Pivot. That is a separate add-ins. But in Power in Power BI, we have them in the same place. So this is Power Query, exact meaning as seen in Excel, and there is Power Pivot that we use to create our relationships. So this is where my queries come to, my data view or preview, and the properties of that query. So if I click on this customer, you'll see the source data. This is where I got the data from. Then anything that I apply to this data is the applied steps. You can rename your query at any one time. You can also rename from here by right-clicking on the query name like that. Once you are satisfied with the transformation that you've done to your data, you can close and apply. And it takes your data now to Power BI. So you can see on the right side that my data is loading, and you see all the all the data sets that I've imported. So we wait and give it time to my data has been imported, and you can see that. You can see that there's my data that has been loaded there. So once my data is loaded, you can see this on the data view here. This is called the table view. You can see the table view there. This is where our visuals go to. And I can build my visuals right from this area where I can drag. For example, if I want a bar chart, I can create a bar chart there. Then use the custom fields and custom columns here to bring my visuals here. When Alfred takes over this class, is going to show you how to calculate or create DAX expressions using that. Here on the model view, this is where we see all our tables and we create all our relationships there. Sometimes you can recreate these relationships inside Excel using Power Pivot and import them here. And you can see I've already created all the relationships in Excel and pull them here. You can also create this relationship right here. You can see there's a relationship here called that's created. This relationship is from the customer key, which goes into the sales data. I'm using what you call a star schema, where my main sales data and sales are in the center, and any other supporting data sources or schemas are on the edges. That's what you call a star schema. You can also use DAX query view to generate your DAX. DAX in short is called a data analysis expressions or DAX. These are super formulas that are powered by Power Pivot or Power BI to create measures or to create what we call calculated columns. Once you've made your once you've done your calculations on the right side here, usually we publish this to a Power BI service. So on the Power BI service, we take our visuals that we've created here are taken to publish. When you click publish, it will publish. So first it tells me I need to save. So I want to save my Power BI desktop. So I'm going to call this, let's say, save this on my computer. Save this, come here, save as, browse on this device. I'm going to put on my downloads, call this analytics, like that. I get that. Now, once you've done that, you can publish it to a workspace. So I'm going to take you to Power BI service and show you how this come up. Now, in Power BI service, you have what we call workspaces. These are the areas or folders and subfolders that you use to show your reports to. So when I go to the web here, this is the Power BI service, and you can access that by apps.powerbi.com, where you'll see all your areas there. So I'm going to go and say app.powerbi.com to take me to the Power BI service. Here you can see this where I have where I can create either build my first reports there. I can bring in apps. there. I can create apps from my reports. You can create workspaces, and you can see my workspaces are there. I can create deployment pipelines. Deployment pipelines are the paths that you take when you are sharing your reports to your users. And you can create a new pipeline by creating that pipeline, assign that pipeline to a workspace, develop and test your content, then share it with your users. Now, in the workspaces, whatever I publish here on Power BI on Power BI desktop will come here. So I can either create and say this is for test class August 31, like that, and it comes into this as my just a minute, create a test class that's it one like that, and then make sure I can describe here custom description goes there. And then you can assign it to a domain. So I can either assign it to opencastlabs.co.ke or another domain that you are building. You could also create this for external domains, but it will be limited to the license model that you have. Then you can give a custom image there, you put a contact list there, and whether you're using a pro license or using a trial or using premium per user. So for this, I'm going to use my pro license, then apply. So once you see this class is test class, now when I go back to Power BI service and publish, you'll see the test class. Here you can see that as the test class. I just one and select. Then I'm going to publish my Power BI reports there. That way you can now pick from Power BI service, which is available here. Once it shows up here, you'll see your reports coming up. For example, I can pick this report here. So once you publish, it will come back here as a Power BI report. So and you can see that. So right from here, this visual can either be shared in Teams, it can be shared externally to your users, either in your organization or externally, or you can render this as or as an export to either to analyze the data further in Excel, to PDF or a PowerPoint. Now, this on PowerPoint is an interesting case where you can push your Power BI reports to PowerPoint. When you click to PowerPoint like this, you'll get a PowerPoint slide that is just interactive like the Power BI service. So you can either choose to export as image or embed as live data. For this test case, I'm going to embed this as live data. Then I'm going to open PowerPoint and you'll see what shows up on the other side. I click open. And this is what we call Power BI, Microsoft. This is Power BI storytelling, where you have an interactive Power BI report building up inside PowerPoint. For those of us who are joining, we mentioned that our system is going to automatically deliver certificates at the end of this, but it will only deliver to those people who stay as longest, and the minimum has been set is 60 minutes. There are links on the chat box that will lead you to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, find out how you can get training for yourself or your team, whether you are in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Nigeria. All our classes are delivered live online for groups and for individuals. So back to this PowerPoint, you can see now my PowerPoint is just as interactive as what is seen in Power BI. So I want to take the next 2 minutes for you to ask questions before I invite Alfred to take over and dive into visualization and creating what you call measures. So let's go back to your chat environment where we're going to invite your questions the next few minutes before you can have dropped our email address for those asking questions. You can also send us an email on info@opencastlabs.co.ke. You can take a 2-minute break and take some water, and then at 11:30 we start session 2 for creating metrics. We have left here is the class notes for those of you who might have not seen the class notes. For those asking what is Microsoft Fabric, I've dropped the class material for that, where I've defined what Microsoft Fabric is, how you can get Microsoft Fabric. Of course, a paid license, but Microsoft allows you 60 days to test Microsoft Fabric or Microsoft Power BI before you make it. For those asking for physical trainings are only with those in Nairobi or willing to travel to Nairobi. Our office is in 27 Church Road, Nairobi, Westlands. So you can drop us an email, Opencast Labs, info@opencastlabs.co.ke to get info on physical training. Typically, it would be training for groups, but for individuals, later on we can discuss. You can drop us a mail. Otherwise, Alfred, you can drop in. We have a minute to 11:30 local time.
Thank you, David, for the overview. I'll take this opportunity to take you through a simple end-to-end where we have financial data that will translate into reports that we'll be able to share with our teams. So this data will involve a bit of simple cleaning. We'll not delve so much into cleaning of and transformation of data that is advanced level cleaning and transformation. But we look at a simple way that we can be able to clean it. We will delve into an introduction of DAX, data analysis expressions, and we will create a simple report that we are going to publish. So with me here, I have financial sample data where we have different segments. We have segments that is from channel partner, enterprise, government, mid-market, and small businesses. We have countries. We have the products that we are selling. We have a column for discount, the unit sold, price for manufacturing, sales price, all the way to the year. Okay, so we will start with these data sets. David, you will assist me with admitting the new members that are joining us.
Okay, I'm admitting them.
So from this data set, which is a simple data that is in tabular form, we come to Power BI, an Excel workbook. So just link it to where my data is stored. Now, two things happen here. We have all the worksheets that are in my workbook will be displayed here. Now, if you see a worksheet that has the first top row being blue in color, that means this is a table. Okay? And we prefer to upload the tables rather than uploading worksheets. You will be able to see the preview of your data sets from here. We want to transform this data, okay, so that we can make sure that we are not operating on garbage in, garbage out. Welcome to Power Query Editor. This is our kitchen. It is at this point that we are going to clean and transform this data. The advantage of this area is that all the steps that I'm going to take in transformation of this data will be recorded. Okay? All the steps that you're going to take will be recorded. As David said, we'll have the applied steps all the way to the change type. I just want to change a few things here. For example, we have the unit sold. I would want this to be a whole number. So in each column, we have data type, column name, and the filter. So we come to data type, and I want to change this to a whole number. We do not want to have so many steps that have change type 1, change type 2, change type 3. Remember, when you are transforming your data set, it is advisable to name these steps so that you are able to remember what exactly you did at that particular instance. We'll just replace the current step for that. We have a whole number. Good. I want to come to my segment. Remember, I have an end in mind. I know the kind of reports that I want to create. So I'm working backwards with the data set that I have to achieve the reports that are needed or required in my organization. Now we have segment here. I want to make the segment easier to see in my chart later. So since I want to make it easier to see, let's transform these or change the cases to uppercase. To do that, we highlight the column, we come to transform, under format, we change these to uppercase. Okay, so now it becomes quite easy for me to use the segment in my chart, and someone will identify this easily. Another thing that I need us to do is to change the month this month name to just month. Good.
Alfred,
Now, yes. Yes, David.
continue. We had lost you momentarily.
Oh, sorry about that. Now, still in my transformation of data, information gets to me that since last month, we have discontinued a particular product. Now, because I do not want to have confusion in this report that I'm going to create, we'll come and filter out this specific product. I'll choose this product, we'll filter it out, and we'll click OK. That means the report that I'm going to create will exclude this specific product. But if I would want to create another report for previous periods as a trend analysis, in an instance that we are interested in reviving that particular product, we do not have to worry about it. We'll just come and remove the filter. Then we'll be able to get the data set that is associated with this specific product. Okay, so once that is done, we are ready to close and apply for this particular data set. But now, I discover that I need to also change something, that I'm interested in creating a table that will give categories for these products. Okay, now if I want to give categories for this product, I can start with that data set in Excel. If it is not in Excel, I'll be able to create it in my Power Query. So we come to Home tab, then under Home tab, I want to enter data. Okay? So that now I can be able to have a specific product table that will have the names of these products, and it will have the categories represented. So these will be products. This products category. These are the products that we have from our data sets. Category A, category A again, category C. We'll call the table product, and you click OK. So you are able to generate these tables right directly in Power Query. So once I have my table, just come to close and apply. Close and apply. Let's give it a few moments for it to load. Now, we have loaded two tables. One is products, one is financials. There is intelligence in this space such that Power BI will be able to look at the type of data set in a particular column and give the data type. So anything that has this summation signifies that here we have numbers. Where we have dates, we'll find that a sort of a calendar icon is displayed. Power BI will create the relationships for you. There are two ways that you can be able to create a relationship. Okay. Back in Excel, we can be able to create our relationships, as David mentioned, and upload them here. Alternatively, we can switch from report view and we come to model view. When we come to model view, this is an art. Modeling is an art. We need to create a model that is easy to follow. Now, financials table is a transactional tables that at this space, we have multiple instances of our products being displayed, okay? While on this end, we have the instance of a product appearing only once. Power BI will attempt to create this relationship for you, but it is advisable to manage this relationship so that you avoid instances where we have erroneous connections being made. Two things. Either you right click here and go to properties, or you can come here and manage relationships so that we are able to see this relationship that we have created or that has been created automatically by Power BI is okay. So you can see it's product to product. We have multiple instances or multiple cardinality options. Many to one, one to one, one to many, many to many. We are using many to one because one instance of our table, we have multiple instances of the product appearing. Then on the other table, we have one instance of that product appearing. The cross filter for this has been set to single. This is fine, meaning product category can be used to filter the financials, but the financial table cannot be used to filter the products. Okay? Because we have many instances in financial, one instance in the product table. So when we make sure that this is okay, we save that. And we come back now to our report view. Now, when we come back to our report view, we want to transform this data. And in transforming this data, we need to do some calculation. Okay? These calculations are driven by data analysis expression, popularly known as DAX. DAX will operate in two contexts. There's a context that will be applied when you come to the table. I'll switch to the table view. There's a context that will be applied per row, which is a row context, whereby, let's say, we are multiplying the unit sold by the sales price to get this value. That is a context that is row by evaluated row by row. That is one way. We have another context that will involve, we want the total sales for this column. If you happen to do a sum of sales per row, we'll get the same figure for each specific row, which does not make sense for us. So taking us to the other context, whereby we need to create a measure that will store a scalar value. That is one number, total sales amount. average sales amount, okay? Maximum sale, minimum sales, okay? All that can be created by using a measure. So when we are evaluating row by row, in the instance that I've said, multiplying units sold and sales price, to get our sales, we do what we call a calculated, or we use a calculated column. Now, today in my DAX, I want to focus on creating measures, and because we'll be having a dynamic data set, okay, we'll be having a dynamic data set. We can create our measures inside a specific table where we come and create a new measure. Alternatively, we can be able to create a specific table that will hold our measures. So we highlight on one of the tables, okay? Then we create a new table. Create a new table. This table, we'll call it my measures. My measures. I'll just do a simple, let's first enter so that we get the table. So on this table is where I want to store all my measures. We'll click on new measure. And the first measure that I'm interested in creating is called profit margin. Profit margin, where I want to get the profit divided by the sales. So here we have our profit margin. So we want to have a sum. So we have table name. Then we look for the column that has the profit, which is that. We close the bracket. Then we actually just, you'll excuse me for just a moment. Let's first start with total sales, because we are going to use total sales multiple times. So total sales amount. This is a sum of financials, then sales. We have our total sales, which now, as I mentioned, is a scalar value, this particular number. Okay. Now, we also want, now for that, so that we have our measures as the first table, we can hide this column so that the first table in our model is my measures. I'll create another measure here that will give me the total profit. Total profit amount. So we have the sum. You can enter or you commit by clicking on this tick. So when I have these two values, we can proceed now to create another measure that will be able to calculate for us the profit margin. Profit margin. So we take the profit, so total profit margin. You can divide manually, or you can use a DAX expression, okay, called divide, okay, where the numerator will be the total profit amount, and the denominator will be the total sales amount. Total sales amount. Good. Now, I might be tempted to go and create my visuals at this particular point, but I remember that there is what we call time intelligence, whereby I would want to be able to compare this period with the previous period that we have data for. I would want to be able to look at QTD. I would want to look at MTD, month to date. I would like to look at year on year. I would like to look at moving averages. In order to be able to do that, we require a calendar. Okay. At the moment here, we do not have a calendar. Again, we can be able to create this calendar back in our Excel, or we can still create it from here. Okay, we can still create it from here. So come here, we switch to table view. We switch to table view. Then once we switch to table view, we go to home tab, and under home tab, we want to create a new table. Okay? We want to create a new table. This table is called calendar. Okay? For today, I will not create an automated table. I'll just create a simple calendar by using a function called calendar. Later, when we share the notes, you'll be able to see how to create an automated calendar. So this calendar DAX expression is asking for the start date and end date. Since I'm conversant with my data, I'll bring the date function here, which is asking for the year, the month, and the date. My data is from 2013 to 2014. So the year is 2013 here. The month is January. The day is the 1st of January. That is done for the start date. So the end date, again, we bring the DAX expression date. This is 2014 from my data set. The month is December. The day is the last day of that month. Good. I want to remove the time from my dates. So we will format this. Instead of the format being date and time, we'll switch to short date. Short date. We come to the model view, and the calendar is here. Okay? So we'll just move the measures to the side, bring the calendar here, and drag the date to the date. Again, we have a one-to-many, and the filter is single. Good. So the advantage of creating a calendar is that when you have your calendar, we do not even need to create calculated columns that will give us the quarter, the month, and the day. This hierarchy is already created for us. Okay, the hierarchy is already created for us. Now we come to my measures where I want to have different measures that will be able to calculate for me periods. So what I'll start with is year to date. So the measure that I want to have here, new measure. This is sales year to date. Sales year to date. And the DAX expression there is total year to date. The expression that is expected there is the total sales. If I had not calculated the total sale, I'll have to say sum of total sales. But since I already have it as a measure, I'll bring the total sales there, then comma. The next filter is the calendar date. So we go to calendar and pick the date. And we have our sales year to date. I'll move a little bit fast here so that we are able to accomplish what we need. The next that I want to create, the measure that I have here is month to month. Okay, so this is sales month to date. The DAX expression is total MTD. We have total sales. We have our calendar date. That will give us month to date. We want another measure that will give us quarter to date. For sales, QTD, total QTD, find it here. Total sales amount, calendar date. So we have month to date, we have quarter to date, we have year to date. Now let's move to a bit of advanced time intelligence. In this specific section, we would want to have same period as last year, which we call an year-on-year comparison. That is an advanced time intelligence function, and I'll show you how to create it. So again, a new measure. Which we call sales last year. Sales last year. In order to be able to create a filter, I'm going to use a dynamic DAX expression that is called calculate. So these will evaluate an expression in a context that is modified by filters. So when I bring in calculate, the first expression is supposed to give me the total sales amount. I do not have to bring a sum because I already have this scalar value stored there, comma. The filter that I will use is same period last year. Same period last year. I'm asked for where the dates are, the importance of the calendar again. We go to calendar, then date. We close same period last year. We close our calculate, then we commit. Or we enter to accept that specific DAX expression. I also want to bring in the moving average. So this is moving average. Moving average. Now, to be able to calculate my moving average, I'll use some DAX expression here. Okay, multiple of them. We'll start with the average, but the average I'll use is average X, because my average X is supposed to create an average, but evaluated over a table. That is why the X comes into play. Now, when I open the bracket, I'm supposed to give the dates, okay? But I'll not go to the calendar and pick the date automatically. I want first to use a DAX expression called date in periods, okay? It will return a date from the given period that we have specified. So the date will come from our calendar, then date, comma. I'm asked for the start date. Remember, this is my moving average. Start date, I'll move to the last year or the last date. Okay, there's a function called last date. Again, I go to calendar, calendar date, close the bracket. Number of intervals. Let me go back to 3 months down, comma, again, subject to our quarters. Then the interval that I want to look at is month. Okay, so every 3 months, every 3 months, every 3 months. We close the bracket for dates in period. Then that modifies the calendar table completely, comma. The expression that I'm supposed to give here is the sales amount or sum of sales. But since we already have it, again, total sales, we close the bracket and commit. Anytime a red indicator appears here, there's a problem. And you can go back and check what is the problem with your measure. Now, the last measure that I want to create here is what we call previous period comparison. Previous period comparison. Actually, we can change the name for this. Let's call it sales previous period. So since we want to apply filters, we are going to invoke the calculate function. So calculate, then we need the total sales amount. Now we want to go to the previous month. So previous month is a DAX expression. Our data in the calendar date. So we close the previous month. You can see you are guided clearly. And we also close calculate. We commit this. I know we are doing so many things within a short period of time, but this is a feel of how the class is, an overview of how the class is. When we start the sessions, we go a little bit slower so that every concept is understood clearly, including how we are creating these measures. So we have sales previous period already done. We can have different measures dependent on the report that we want to create. But right now, I want to move to the 20%, which we call creating the visuals. Creating the visuals is the last thing that you do after you've modeled your data. Okay? And I'll rename these two executive summary. Executive summary. So first, let me bring in a text box. That I'll change the font size. The font color. We'll come to the effects. Sorry, this has to be done. So the effect of this, let me change the background color to this. Sales report is the name that I want to give this. Okay. Now in my report, I need to bring in what we call slicers that you can be able to look at different periods over time. Remember, we have our date. Okay. So I'll come and bring in a slicer. This slicer, I can be able to get, because there's a connection, I can go to my calendar and pick the dates. Okay. Pick the date. I'll leave it as it is. The only thing that we can be able to change is the background. So you come here. When you click on the format your visual, you'll be able to get different ways that you can be able to format your visuals. So we'll come here, change this to white, show you why I'm doing that. Then we come to the header. I want to change the font also to this. Then the background, we change it to blue. Okay, we change it to blue. We'll create another, sorry, it's not a card, another slicer, which will contain the filter country. Now, when you come to the format visual for this, I'll start with the slicer settings. I want this to just be a drop down. Under selection, I want to compare multiple countries at some point. So I'll select all for that. Under values, let me change the font and slicer heading as well. And on general, the reason as to why I have done that is because I want to bring this at the top and also bring this there. Okay. Now, we need to come and work on our text box under format. I'll align it to the top. Then the most important part is to send it to the back. So we send it to the back so that you can be able to view these other slices that we have created. So quickly, I want to have sales and profit by margin. Sales and profit margin by date. So in my measures, I have total sales amount. I have sales margin. Then I want to come to my calendar and pick the month. Okay. Now, in analysis of trends, you have to choose the right visual. Okay. So for this, we'll switch it to line chart. But if you look at the profit margin, because it is being read on this axis, we cannot be able to make sense of it. So we need to move profit margin to the secondary axis so that we have to have this. Then I want to change the heading for this. So we come to format visual, okay, general, and the title, let me remove total sales, but I remain with sales amount and profit margin. Okay. Drag it a little bit. Something else can fit here. Now I also want sales by product. So in my measure, I'll pick total sales amount. We'll go to our financials and pick the product. I want to present this using a clustered bar like that. Sales by product. We come to the format of our visual. We bring in the data labels so that we're able to see the labels. Then on the title, we want to remove total and just remain with sales amount by product. Now, these are simple visuals to create. There are other visuals that I want to create, which are two for this executive summary. That is the profit margin, which will give us, which will be a KPI, and the profit margin by segment, which now will also show if there is a negative. So first, we come and add a clustered bar. Add a clustered bar. We take segment. We drag it to the axis here. Then we go to the profit margin in our measures. We bring it there. Now, if you look at our visual here, we need to bring or to work out with these bars in a way that they will show where we have negative values. So we have a negative value that is here that we need to take care of so that at a first glance, someone will be able to clearly see that for that particular segment, we did make losses. So we'll come to, we highlight the visual. We'll come to the format of our visual. You'll find our bars here. You can change the bars color as you need. But if you want to use a conditional formatting, you'll have to come and click on FX, conditional formatting. So here, format style is rules. The field we want to use is under financials. Actually it is under my measures and it is profit margin. Profit margin. So greater or equal to 0, that's fine as a percent, and less or equal to 1. And I will leave that as a number, but I'll specify a color, which is this blue. Okay? You can even give it a green color if need be. I want to add a new rule that says greater than. Instead of 0 now, I'll pick the minimum, change this to number, and less than 0. I'll leave this as a number, but change this to a color that is easily identifiable. So more colors, I'll pick red, pick that color there. Sorry. So that we're able to see this. Anywhere where there's a negative margin, we're able to see it. Now, the other visual that I want to create for this is what you call a KPI visual. We'll bring the gauge. Okay, bring the gauge here. Then we want to bring the profit, because again, this is a profit margin. We want to bring the profit margin to the values. Profit margin, we bring it to the values, that particular point. Now, the reason as to why we are seeing 0.14 is because I had not edited this to a percentage. So once you highlight the column, the measure tools will appear here. So change it to a percentage. Change it to a percentage. And this to place at 0. Now, sometimes we do a calculation for target, because we have the profit margin, we have the target that we had set. If this profit margin, I had used it across multiple visuals, I'll create a measure that will give me the target. But for our case, there's no need of doing that. We can just hard code it. So come here, we'll find under the format visual, we'll find gauge axis, and I want to give the target as a 0.2. That is 20%. So we are short of our profit target, which was 20%. Okay. So I'll proceed to just arrange this. Okay. Now that is my executive summary. Remember, under view, you can come and change this view the way you want. Okay. You can choose different views here. Okay. Let me return it back to how it was. Good. Now, we come to this other page that I want to do a trend analysis. Those calculations that we created, okay, they can only make sense if they are presented well in a specific visual. Okay, I'll start with year to date, whereby I want to use a line chart for this. So I'll bring in a line chart. So under x-axis, just a moment. Okay, I'll come to my calendar and I want to bring in the month here, okay, on the x-axis. Then I want to bring the total sales, which is in my measures, on the x-axis. Okay. Then I also bring sales last year. There. On the y-axis. We do like that. Now, you can present this either as a line, but the best way is to bring it or represent it as a clustered column so that we are able to see this particular year that we are comparing. Is the profit going up, or are the sales going up or down? So the data that can only be compared, because the other year we did not have other months, is this. So we can see in this current year, which is represented in blue, this color here, we are able to see that our sales are increasing. So this is total sales amount by sales for last year. And we can edit this by bringing in the data label Actually, let's just leave the data labels for this. We go to the other visual that I want to present here. We can even also add something like a trend line. Okay, so the next visual that I want to create, sorry, a moment. Just one moment, then we proceed. Okay. Let's change this just a bit. Let's start with sales year to date. Okay. Start with sales year to date, and we change this to a line. So this will show us that sales year to date by month, it has been an increase. Then I want also to bring month to date. This one I'll use a bar. I'll use a bar. In my calendar, we bring the month to the y-axis. Then sales MTD, we bring it there. We can come and introduce data bars, data labels for that. Then we create another one that will give us now quarter to date performance. You can now create this using an area chart or a line chart. I'll use an area chart. Again, I'll pick my month. Then I'll get my QTD there. So sales quarter to date. If you look at our months, we can be able to see January, February, March, the trend. April, May, June, the trend. Okay, because we talked about each quarter, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Now I want to bring in sales comparison with previous year. Let's use a clustered column for that. Okay. So we bring in the month and we bring in the sales LY. Remember, these were the months that we were comparing only. Okay. September, October, November, December. Data labels. We bring data labels there. Now to compare these, you can also bring in the total sales. To see this comparison, well, we can bring in the total sales. Need some space for just one more. At least have maybe around 4 visuals in a particular page. But for our case, because we have something else that we need to bring in, then actually let's just create. So this will be as it is. Let's create another last page. So trend 2. So here, I want to bring in the moving averages. So I want to represent the moving averages with a line chart, okay? So that I look at this data over a period of time, okay? Like we can be able to look at the last 3 months. So in a line chart, I get my month. Then I come here and get my moving average. This is my moving average. Then the last visual that actually we can create 2 more. So let's bring this down to that point. So profit trend over time. Okay. Any trend, let's use a line. Okay. This is supposed to give me profit over time. Okay. And here we can be able to Actually, there are so many calculations that we can be able to create here, but for now, let's just remove this. What we can present here is a map to crown it all. We have our country. And we go to bubble size. Like that, so that we are also able to see the distribution of these cells over time. So there are so many things we can be able to create here, okay? But for this purpose, we'll just have this overview. Now, one thing that I want to do, we can have filters on a specific page that will filter only this page. We can have filters on all pages, and we can also have a filter specifically for a specific visual like this. So filter on this visual. I want to have a filter on all pages that will look at the countries. So I can bring the country here so that if I want to look at, let's say, Canada, okay, and I do that, this information that we have here is only for this specific country, but it will be a filter that will be applied for all other specific reports that we have. So once we finish this, because we are working on this from our Power BI desktop, we come to, we save this. So let us save it. So on Home tab, just wait for it to upload on OneDrive. Good. So give it a moment to upload. Good. So David showed us this. We need to publish. And we are publishing. I don't know if you had shared that workspace with me.
No, I not shared. I can let me share the workspace with you so that it's visible. So workspaces can be shared across an organization. So for that workspace settings, I need to manage the workspace and add Alfred in there so that is able to publish that visual. So in a workspace, you can either have an admin, member, or contributor. I'm going to add Alfred as a contributor. So you are in. I've added you to the workspace. You'll see the workspace when you publish.
Doing it right now.
The workspace is test class August 31st.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So once I publish, the members in that workspace will be able to view. There are those who will be able to view, there are those who will be able to edit, and they'll be notified if I have uploaded a new report. Remember, this is not a dashboard. This is a report. So once you create your report, you need to go to Power BI Cloud, okay, and now come up with your dashboards. So let's go to our workspace. Have this workspace. Good. And we have the sample report. Okay. So let's open the sample report. This is what we have been creating in Power BI desktop with our different pages. Now, not everything is supposed to go to the dashboard. For example, I might take this entire report and pin a dashboard, okay, to a new dashboard that is called test class, and I pin live. Now, when I pin live, dashboards are created in 3 ways, either from a report, okay, or from what we call natural language queries, where we ask our data questions here. Okay, I'll just go to a question that, let's say, top countries by profit amount. I can pick that. When this is created, I can pin this visual. Now, the difference between this and a report is that a report is pinned live, meaning it is connected to where that report has been created. But these natural language queries will create an instance of a visual from that from the dataset that has been uploaded. So if we are refreshing, we need also to be able to check on this. So existing dashboards, we have existing dashboards here, and I can select test class, then pin, go to our dashboard. We have a report. This report, we can be able to filter it. That if I click on this, I'll be able to filter, but it is not connected to this tile, because here we are dealing with tiles. It's not connected from to this tile. Now, the third way of creating a dashboard, as I finalize, is you can as well come here, and let's say we're interested in bringing this profit margin, sales QTD by month. If I come to this specific visual, or even this one, I can come to this specific visual, and I can decide to pin this specific visual to, I don't know, I can pin this visual to my dashboard. We already have a dashboard there. I'll not go to that dashboard. Then the last way of creating a dashboard is by getting what we call quick insight. You give the AI power to analyze your data and give you sample visuals that you can be able to include in your dashboard. Now, these visuals are created by the machine, so you do not have to use all. You only use what makes sense to you. High accounts for the majority of discounts, we have that. Discount by band, we have units sold and sales by date. There's a correlation between units sold and sales. Let me pin this. Again, we are not pinning this live. We pin an instance of that report. So here is our dashboard, okay, that has this report that can be able to filter all the visuals that are attached to it. Then we have these individual visuals that have been created using other methods. Once we're done with that, then we can be able to now share with our colleagues. Of course, David is a member of this workspace, so he'll be able to see this easily. You can also print this page, okay, if need be. I'll get to that point in my presentation of creating a simple retail dashboard, and I'm hoping that I'll be with most of you in this session so that we learn more things. We learn the power of creating DAX or manipulating your data, that you are able to create reports or dashboards that can spark decision making in your organization. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alfred. That was a powerful presentation. Just for those who joined us midstream, we have shared the class notes. We share the class notes on the chat area, but we're going to send also a link by email. We'll send you the certificates. The system will automatically check whether you're in class for continuous 60 minutes or cumulative 60 minutes. Then it will send you your digital certificate. We are almost at the end of this. This is 12:28 p.m. local time. there's one thing that I wanted to show you just for the next 3 or 4 minutes, then we are going to wind up. Those who want to join us in our live class, yeah, if you want if you want to join us in class, you can send us a mail, info@opencastlabs.co.ke. You'll see that shortly on the screen, and you can see, share that. So info@opencastlabs.co.ke if you want to join us for a live class. Usually our Power BI classes is 1 week long, but not the whole day. Usually you want to get up to 40 hours. So it starts on Monday and ends the next Monday. So of course, through a weekend, you would have 4 hours, but during the week is 3 hours live on Teams or Zoom, depending on which platform we use. So on to what I want to share with you for now, to end us, is what we call building hierarchies. Alfred talked about hierarchies when he was talking about days, where automatically Excel creates an hierarchy for the year, the month, the week, the day, like that. But you can also have hierarchies of specific columns. For example, I have this sales data on the, let me say it is the sales. On the sales data, I have the sales amount. I'm going to build a measure based on the sales amount. Then on the product, when I look at the product, you see the product has the category, subcategory, and the model. So category is there on top of it. Then under category, the subcategory, then categories like, for example, road frames as a subcategory. So you can create hierarchies on this. To create your hierarchy, you go to the data, to that table that you want, go to the column where you want to create the hierarchy from. So I'll pick category, right click, and create hierarchy. So the hierarchy, it will name automatically, call it category hierarchy, but I can still name this and call this a friendly name that I want, but I'm going to leave it at that. Then add into this hierarchy, I add the subcategory. So I'll go to subcategory, right click, and add to the category hierarchy. Under that as well, I'm going to add the model. So the model goes into the subcategory. Right click here on model, then add here and add to the category like that. So now I have an hierarchy. When I expand, I'll see category, subcategory, and model. Hierarchies are important in Power BI because it helps you create drill downs and drill ups. Now, after that, I'll create a measure, and the measure will be based on my data called sales data. So I'll go there and create a measure, just a simple measure for total sales. So I'll come there and say total sales like that is equals to, there will be sum of the column called sales amount. So amount that is sales, amount like that, then I close. And of course, I can put the dollar sign so that I show that my sales are in dollars. And you can see there, so this is where my, so I've called it total sales. So total sales, like that format, and the home table is on sales. Now I'll go to visuals like this and pull now my hierarchy called the sales, the category hierarchy, put it there, and then look for the measure that I created. We call it total sales, then I put it here. So I have like that, then change this visual, of course, and change it so that I have something like that. So this is on the high level, but at the top, it either comes at the top here or at the bottom, depending on where you place this visual. So you either look for this now the hierarchies where you can drill down or drill up. So I have this, the category. When I drill down like this, it gives me now the subcategory. If I go down, it goes to the model. And at any one time, you can come up to the category. That is why hierarchies are important, and hierarchies can be either created at the products level, it could be dates, it could be anything that can be subcategorized. It could be countries. So I could have Africa, and Africa have many countries. If it is Nigeria, then I drill down to states. Then you see, of course, so if I can always look at sales at continental level, sales at country level, at state level, or county level, depending on the country boundaries. That marks the end of this class today, and I'm going to give Alfred his closing remarks. And if anyone has a comment, I'll just give 2 people maximum so that we save on time. I'll give them the mic. So if you raise your hand, I'm going to give you the mic so that you can ask only one question, then we can close.
Thank you, David. I think we can listen to the questions, then we close. But I'm thankful for taking time to attend this. So those people with questions, just raise your hand, then David will give you the mic.
You can also drop your comments on the chat section. I said some people I see on the chat have used short version of their names. The certificates issuing is automated, so it will use the registration that you it has to match what the attendance here and the registration you did on the Teams webinar invitation. So that's why for the short versions of the names, it will take us time. We must do a manual check before the certificates are released. But if your name is full, you don't have to worry, it's going to come. Again, if you came to class and there was an error or omission, you can always send us an email, info@ openclasslabs.co.ke. I'm going to give you Edwin the mic. So I've given you the mic, Edwin. Go ahead. You can unmute. Will you talk? Go ahead, Edwin. You have the mic.
I can see he's unable to unmute. Oh.
Okay. Okay, if you are not able to unmute, you can leave us a message. Melusi, I'll give you the mic. Melusi, unmute.
Hello.
Tell us where you are from and your question.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think I missed the first part of the class due to difference in time zones. Will this recording be available afterwards?
Yes, the recording is available. The class is recorded, and we're going to send a link. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in South Africa.
Okay, welcome. We will send out the link to the recorded class for everyone. Edwin, I don't know if you're able to unmute your mic.
Hi, David. Thanks. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thanks for the insightful session. Just a quick one regarding the physical trainings that you offer. Do you only handle the kind of business or financial side sector, or how would you also handle health-related kind of issues, or probably in the humanitarian data from humanitarian sector, who just handle financial, business, corporate side?
No. Our clientele is broad-based. Half of them being non-profits. We handle retail, manufacturing, hospitality. We've done for airlines, about 2-3 airlines. We've done just be sure that we deal across. We also help automating getting data from accounting systems or ERPs, and our specialty is Dynamics 365 FO and Dynamics 365 Business Central. But of course, anything that is SQL related is milk and bread. So Edwin, you can reach out to me, Alfred, or just drop info at opencastlabs.co.ke to engage.
All right, thanks.
One last one so that we can close. The system will deliver because of bandwidth and certificates are heavy in nature. The system will continue delivering. Once we end this, we'll issue certificates. It will continue delivering throughout the day. So if you don't get at the end of the day, then you can reach us out. But before then, give the system time to deliver the certificates at least up to 7 p.m. today. Of course, local time, Nairobi, because it's now 12:39 in Nairobi. One last one, incredible. You guys been patient with us. We started with 59 people, we've ended with 51. We appreciate attending our class. We will drop on the link to our YouTube channel. So you can subscribe. We release videos. This video as well will be available on YouTube shortly. Please remember to subscribe. Otherwise, I thank you and see you soon. You are free to leave or continue asking the questions.
Thank you, everyone. David, share the link to the YouTube on chat.
Yes, in a minute. That is the link to YouTube. For those
David,
who want the data set, Alfred will share the link to the data set as well. So Monday is asking where the data set is. So
I've shared the link to the data set on chat.